available. That's what we would do. We would get to the building. If I wasn't a part of the ring crew and I wasn't able to get out of work early, I know the show started at 7, I would try to get there like between 5 and 6, depending on how far I was coming from work. Because remember, I still had a regular job that was a commitment as well, too, that I had to make. So I would come to the wrestling show, let's say 5 or 6, come in. Maybe I'm not on an advertised match, but I know that I'm booked. I'm booked knowing that I'm supposed to be there, but I don't know who I'm working. I would wait for the promoter to come in. If the promoter's not there already, the promoter would write down a run sheet on a piece of paper, and he'd put the match card up. And on the match card, he or she, usually he, would put who is wrestling who, how much time you have, and if you're going over winning, or if you're putting somebody over losing. So one of the things is, okay, so you would wait, see who you're wrestling. You would go to the person, and then you would talk to them and say, hey, look, depending on who it is. If I was wrestling somebody that had time in the business, what I would do is I would let them dictate the match. Instead of me coming out there as the young boy telling them what I was going to do, I would go out there and let them tell me what they wanted to do. And hopefully they would take my suggestions if they would ask me. But if they didn't ask for any suggestions, I always say things like, hey, I have this headbutt thing that I do. I would like to get that headbutt in. Or, whatever it is that I used to like to get in, that's what I would get in the point of telling the story. Sometimes they would ask, hey, kid, what can you do? That's what I would ask somebody who was brand new. I said, hey, what can you do? When the roles were turned, I would actually ask the younger wrestlers, hey, what can you do? Because when I know what you can do, I know what kind of match I can put together for us to go out there. After the match is put together, let's say I'm not wrestling until like the middle of the card. So even though the show starts at 7:15, I probably won't be wrestling until 8. So now it's like 5:30, right? We already put together the basis of our match. Now we separate, right? We separate. You go sit in your corner with your friends if that person's not in your circle. You get dressed. You BS. For some people, and never me, for some people, backstage at a wrestling event was a party for them. That's when they smoked weed or did other drugs, or some people would drink. And for me, I was never in the business of doing that because I always treated pro wrestling as work. It was always work for me, right? Work first, play later. If I was going to have a beer, because remember, I always had to drive, right? And I don't play with my driver's license at all. If I was going to have a beer, one singular beer, it would be right after my match. Give me enough time to cool down, relax. I would drink some water and I would go. Okay, and I would go about my business, but never doing it. Some people play cards. We used to play Uno. Some people play video games. I've been to places where they played video games. Or some people just sit around, they talk and they BS, and they talk about, hey, brother, what show you working this weekend? I'm not booked. Can I ride with you? With you as a big networking thing. If you're one of the persons that are walking into the locker room, this is pro wrestling etiquette. Listen to this. If you're one of the persons walking into the locker room, and everybody else is already there, you come in and you shake every single person's hand, okay? Nobody doesn't go without getting a handshake, especially if you're on the show, you call yourself a wrestler, you shake everybody's hand. Some people get hugs, some people are more bros than others, but you're always professional, you're always doing business. The first thing in pro wrestling is pro. Pro is short for professional. You'd walk in, you shake everybody's hand. Hey, brother, how's it going? Good to see you. If I know who you are or I follow you on Facebook or Instagram, hey, how's the kids? How's the this? How's the that? Or somebody who I haven't seen in a while, hey, look, man, it's really glad to see your face. I'm glad that you're here. Those are messages that I would tell towards people. So now everybody else is going through their match and stuff like that, and then now it's your turn. So what I like to do, because I love wrestling, is that I would watch at least a couple of the matches before me. If I wasn't first. The first match, there's 3 places I always want to be in a wrestling show. 3. The main event, obviously. The first match, or the match, 4. The match before intermission, or the match after intermission. If you've never been to an indie show, independent pro wrestling show, the intermission is the break in the middle of the wrestling show to give everybody a break, stretch your feet, go buy popcorn. You're not missing anything if you go walk around, go smoke, go talk on the phone, whatever. Let me tell you why. I like to be in the beginning, the first match, or the match before. I want to be in the first match because I set the tone for the entire night. I was the first chapter of the story for the night. Okay. I like to be also the match before intermission because I am the last sentence in the chapter in that part for the day. Okay, so when you go to intermission, you go, damn, that first semi-main event was good. I wonder what else the show has to offer. Boom, that's where it comes in the first match after intermission. I like it for the same exact reason that I like being first. You know, I am the first match after the action stops. And main event, I love being in the main event because I was the one that sent everybody home happy or sad because I was the heel. And if I won, I sent a lot of people home sad. I never forget wrestling a main event with a guy. And the guy told me that, oh, I just want to go out there. We just want to do 5 minutes. I was like, 5 minutes? Everybody waited all day for us. And we're going to go out there and just wait 5 minutes? We were the two biggest heads on the poster, mine being bigger. And you want to go out there and only do 5 minutes? Disappointing. I didn't have any time on the job, so I couldn't really dispute that. But we went out there, we did our 5 minutes. But when I went out there to do the main event, I gave you one hell of a main event. So let's say I'm not first, I would be, let's say I would do the third match. I would go out and I would watch the matches. The reason why I would watch the matches is because you don't want to go out and be giving the people that paid their hard-earned money the same exact show, right? If they seen a powerbomb to end the first 2 matches because those people obviously didn't watch the matches before them, right? I don't want to go out there and be the other person that gives you another powerbomb or another super kick to, transition into the match. Or I don't want to be another match to where, we start fighting in the crowd, where every match started fighting in the crowd. That's not something that I was ever really interested in. I was more interested in being different, being unique on the show. The match would go on. We would wait right before the show goes on. Before the match goes on, we'd go out and we'd run over the match again, see if there's anything that we want to change, any ideas that you want to do and stuff like that. And then we'd wait our turn. There was one time I had a blindfold match with a guy named Orlok. That's his wrestling name. He was a vampire dude, and we had a blindfold match. And I always said that was the best match he and I ever had together. I didn't know how the hell I was going to do a blindfold match, but what I did was during that time when we were talking about the match, I said, give me a second. I sat in the corner and I watched a blindfold match on YouTube just to have an idea of what to do. And I think I pretty much ripped off the whole entire match. And I think that was probably the best match. We had a really good reaction from the crowd. But either way, you go, you reconvene, see what you want to do. If anything's changed, you go it over, make sure everybody's on the same page. If there's anything you need to smarten, wrestling term, you need to smarten your referee up. Anything that you're doing that the referee needs to know, what you do is that you let them know at that point. And then you go out and you have your match. Usually the heel comes out first, so I would come out first. They would boo the hell out of me. I would get inside the ring. The babyface, I might cut a little promo, tell them the best thing that ever happened to them was for me to show up here today, and I'm glad that they found their teeth and they put on the cleanest, dirtiest T-shirt that they have. The babyface would come out, they would cheer them, we put on the match. The babyface would win. I would leave, and they would cheer. I would get on the mic and tell them that I'm never coming back here again, and they would cheer me because I said I was never coming back, and they hate me, and I would leave, and that'd be the match. After that, I think the hardest part about the match is the adrenaline dump. You're sitting there, you don't know if you're hurt or anything like that, or if you're banged up or anything like that, but that adrenaline dump, it's serious. I would sit there, I always hated being the main event because the anxiety was so bad, but I always hated being the main event as well too, because I would have to wait for the adrenaline to dump. I would have to sit there and just relax, drink water, talk about the match with the opponent. The promoter may want to come talk to you about the match. Somebody might saw the match, might want to give you an attaboy. One thing that I always did was I always had somebody watch my match so that they can come back and tell me how I did, just to give me some kind of feedback. But that's what I always did. And after the wrestling show, you'd always stay till the end. You'd help clean up, and then we'd all go home together.